Welcome back to Light Talk, where everyday people can share their spiritual journey experiences with a safe and supportive community. If you would like to join my show and be a guest and tell your great stories, email lighttalk423@gmail.com. By the way, while you're at it, like, share, and subscribe. Well, let's get started with our awesome guest today.
Oh, I can tell this is already going to be a super fun interview.
Oh,
Okay.
good. Yay. Go for it.
Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
Dr.
on.
Rita Louise. I thought you would like do a little intro thing.
Yeah,
I,
go ahead.
I'm Dr. Rita Louise, and I'll just give you a little bit of background. I work as a medical intuitive counselor, and energy medicine practitioner. Um, I don't know. I do a lot of stuff, so I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to be going with this. Um,
Anything you want. Well, let's go ahead with your stories then. Go ahead and
okay.
yeah, tell us some of your fantastic experiences.
In what give me a
Okay.
little prompt. I can go, just kind of give me a direction.
Well, we have one that you had with as a child with a doll.
Oh, it wasn't me as a child.
Okay.
So one of the stories, so I do a lot of different things, and I write about a lot of different things, and I just kind of go with my flow, of like, oh, well, that's interesting. And it's not that I have ADHD, because I really do complete projects. I just have a very broad range of interests. And once I set a goal, I achieve that goal. And so at one point in time, I was working with a paranormal group doing ghost hunting. And because I'm intuitive, I would go in as the psychic for the group and communicate not with the dead people. I don't do dead people, but, go see if there's a ghost in the house and whatever. And we got called one time from this woman who, so her daughter was writing these symbols on the walls, and she didn't know what they were, and she thought they might have been runes, but wasn't really sure. And could we come and look and give our opinion? Well, not really a ghost hunting kind of scenario, but I was a little bit intrigued, and she lived 2 miles from me, and it wasn't like make this hour-long drive to somewhere. It was 2 miles. I'm like, yeah, we could do that. And we go, and so she takes us into the bathroom, and this girl had drawn these symbols. They weren't runes, but they looked like it could have been an alphabet, not one that I was familiar with, but mm, who knows? And so I kind of made that commentary that there looked like there was, I'm going to say, intelligence to it. Like there were symbols that were repeated as if you had, like, the letter A in multiple words. They were repeated in that way,
Yeah.
that, in some language that we don't know, that obviously translated was not English. Um, and so I'm looking at that, but then I turn around, and on the counter in the bathroom was a set of eyes that had been drawn in again with magic marker on the marble or whatever countertop. And I'm walking around the bathroom, and I feel like these eyes are following me. So that's always like a really creepy kind of thing to have happen, is to have those eyes follow you.
Right.
And so now I'm asking one of the other team members, I'm like, okay, I want you to look at those eyes, and then I want you to walk around to see if the eyes are following you. So now they're creeped out. And I just kept getting, because when you do intuitive work, you just get impressions, or you might get a phrase, or an image or some kind of insight. And I just kept getting this impression about a pirate, which in my cognitive brain was going, huh? Pirate? I don't even know what that's about. But then the little girl comes and she's standing in the doorway, and I looked at her and I go, "So who's that?" She goes, "A pirate." And then I asked her a couple of other questions. And the first, like the pirate, because I was already getting pirate. And then she answered another question that seemed truthful, but then it kind of went off into her imagination. And I'm like, okay, we got a pirate in the bathroom vanity. Okay, that's weird. And and this girl she was very open, and to me a little scary because she was only 5 years old and she was already like channeling beings and putting freaking pirates in the bathroom counter, which um, was a little scary to me. Because and so I'm reporting all this to the mom, and making some suggestions, because again, it's not a ghost thing, but it was definitely like this, there needed to be an intervention for this girl. And so I finished up and she goes, "Well, what about the doll?" And I'm like, "What doll?" She goes, "Well, in the bedroom on the bookcase, there's a doll. What did you think?" And I'm like, "Didn't notice the doll, but hang on." So I go in the bedroom and I look on the bookcase and there's this doll sitting there. And I look at it and I hear in my head, "I've got a secret. I've got a secret." I mean, just like that, because how can you forget something like that? And I just turn around and walk out of the room because it really kind of creeped me out, and go and sit down in front of, with the mom again. And she goes, "So what did you think of the doll?" And I just looked at her and I went, "I've got a secret. I've got a secret." And her eyes got huge. And she goes, "My daughter says the exact same thing." And then she'll do something like stab me in the leg with a fork. So then we talked about more intervention. And she goes, "Well, what should I do with the doll?" And I'm like, bury it, get rid of it. I don't know, get it out of here. That was
Yeah.
before the time where you could like go on eBay and pay a lot of money for some haunted doll, because that was definitely a haunted doll.
Wow. Wow. I was just watching a video today about um, dolls like that. There's one in China that
Mm-hmm.
has one. I forget her name. And then there's a male doll that's dressed up in a navy outfit that they have set aside because it's like crazy stuff.
Creepy.
Yeah, creepy. Yeah, I the the girl doll, her hair keeps growing. The hair grows, and they have to keep cutting her hair.
All right, that's weird.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, and the sailor doll, he keeps moving around. He'll go
See,
from
that one I think I've
yeah.
heard about, that it's just weird. They leave the room and he's somewhere else. And
Right, right. Yeah, kind
so
of
I have
mysterious.
a friend who bought a historic hotel in the next town over. It's a very historic town, but it's also one of the top 10 most haunted cities in the United States. And he was a ghost hunter. He is a ghost hunter, and he's an antique collector. And so they bought this hotel and they loaded it up with all of this stuff. And all the rooms have themes. And so like there's the doll room and the mirror room and the this room and the that room. And I'm like, I mean, other than the overwhelm of all the stuff they put in there. And from what I understand, they still have more stuff. But then there's kind of like the creep factor in some of them rooms that were a little creepy before, but now are. Um, I don't know that I would want to stay there.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of on the weird side because I feel like I'm being pulled towards that type of stuff, but it creeps me out. But I'm being pulled towards it, and I watch the stuff all the time, and it's
Hmm.
like, so I don't know if that's where I need to go. So I'm trying to kind of figure out how to really feel comfortable with being protected and everything with all of it before I go too far into it, you know.
So this is what I'll share. So I grew up in a house that there was the dead guy that lived in the basement. And we all knew about the dead guy that lived in the basement. And from a ghost hunting, educational point of view, at this point, it was a residual haunting. And the guy who owned the deli around the corner, Mr. Gruber, said somebody had been killed in the house. And in my mind, I'm like, it's the dead guy in the basement. And he didn't really do anything, but you could feel his energy down there. And nobody ever wanted to go in the basement. I mean, it was just, mm.
Yeah.
But then I moved away to college and ended up moving in this house that was like a really good price. I mean, there was a lot of like pluses about moving into this house. Granted, it was college. I had roommates, signed the lease, and then a few weeks later, I found out that the house had been the town funeral parlor.
Oh, jeez.
And that place was very active. And so my friends laugh at me because it's like I'll do ghost hunting, but I always comment, it's like, but I'm afraid of the ghost, but I'm really not afraid of the ghost. I just won't go in a dark room by myself. Like I don't know why with ghost hunting, everyone thinks that it should be dark in the room. I'm like, hey, if there's power, click, I'm gonna turn that on because I can see the ghost with the light on or not. And then I'm not creeped out. But don't
Yeah.
don't make me go in there by myself.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
might be ghosts, even though they don't scare me. I don't know. It's just like a weird circular logic that kind of doesn't make any sense, but it's true.
I think I'm right with you because I feel the same way. It's like I won't watch those things too late at night because I don't want to have the dreams or whatnot. I don't want to go that far. But yeah, I'll sit and I can watch them all day long. And it's
Mhm.
just, I just get so intrigued with them. It's like, why? Why? I'm, you know, it's crazy. It's crazy. Yeah, in college, I had a writing class, and we had to write this book report or some sort of report. And I don't even know why I would do this, but I ended up writing my report about poltergeist. Do you know how long it took me to write that? Because I had to keep putting it down and sidetracking myself and like, okay, okay. And I come back and write some more. I got a good grade on it, but it was like, oh my goodness.
So I have a book and it's called Dark Angels, an insider's guide to ghost spirits and attached entities. And I'm working on this book. And as I'm in the process of working on this book, my marriage fell apart. So now he's gone. That's like
It
bye.
happens.
But I'm working on the book and I'm like laying in bed, sitting in bed, working on, because I tell a number of stories, like let's talk about ley lines, and then I would tell about an investigation where there were ley lines and how they presented as an
Right.
example. So, when I'm writing a story down, I just have to take cryptic notes and I'll flush it out when I'm typing. Well, I'm in there taking my notes, blah, blah, blah. And then I look up and there was all of these spirits at the bottom of my bed. And I closed the book up and didn't pick it back up for another 6 months
Oh
and didn't look at the end of my bed anymore. It's like, no, you could be there, but I just don't want to see you. Don't spook me.
no! Oh, that's funny. That's funny. I haven't had anything to really spook me yet, so but I know it's coming because you got to be spooked, so you get used to it and learn how to deal with it. So I'm expecting
I
it.
mean, actually, if you're not like spooked by it in nature, just in general, then you probably are not going to be spooked.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. I keep expecting something because I drive to work in the dark still. So I keep expecting something funky to cross the street on me. It's like, what am I gonna
Stop and take a picture so you can post it on Facebook.
do? Put it in my show. And I can figure out how to do that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of weird. But I have seen UFOs, I believe, one, at least one, on my way to work. So I thought that was kind of exciting.
See, I
I
haven't
think,
ever seen a UFO. So you're one up on me on that one.
oh, I like say I'm not sure, but lights flashed going across the sky. You know, five little bright lights, and it was gone. Never seen it again since. But I don't know. It was fun either
Cool.
way. Yeah. Yeah. So you have some. You have a shadow spirit, Tom.
Oh, sure. So, so the husband that I got rid of, and I joke around, I've been married too many times, so I have these stories, but they span all of these different relationships, which is a totally different story. Um, but we were living in the house. So it was me, him, and his two kids were living in this house. And I worked from home. And so where my office was like a sunroom that was added on to the house. And it was all glass walls or big windows, a lot of big windows. And so I would be sitting there and I would like see this thing in the corner of my eye, but then you'd look and you wouldn't see anything, which is indicative of a shadow spirit, because if you look, there's not anything. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna like own the fact that it's a shadow spirit, and I I made up the name Tom. I just kind of like, okay. Um, and the impression I got from it was that he was the original owner of the house. So I was the second owner. It wasn't a really super old house, but he loved his yard and he loved his garden. It had all these manicured bushes in it, and my ex barely mowed the yard. So I just felt like Tom was just not really happy with the level of service we were offering his manicured backyard, which is why he hung out back there. And so, if it was just me, I wouldn't even think anything about it because, it's like, oh, yeah, it's Tom. But then my ex started making comments about this thing in the yard. And I'm like, okay. Then the kids started making comments about, who's out of the yard. Then that was okay because, they lived with me and they were opening up more and more every day to their psychic abilities. Now, where it would get weird is I would have company and inevitably somebody would come up and go, there's someone in your backyard. And I'm like, oh, yeah, it's just Tom. And they look at me like, like, yeah, he lives back there. Like just so nonchalant, like it wasn't even going to startle me to even look out the window. Like there might be somebody out there because I knew it was Tom because he was always out there moving around.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, my closest one I have to that is I saw a spirit out my bedroom window one night, and I was just checking out the skies to start off with, and then I had got my camera out and I'm all scanning the sky, and I ended up scanning my yard, and in the camera you could see this white object just kind of doing a little dance like this, going
How
back and
cool.
forth. And but you look out and there's nothing there.
Hmm.
And then we replayed it, and all you see is like a red kind of like thing like this that just kind of goes back and forth. It's kind of like a red, I can't say a blob or anything, but it was a red something that was kind of going back and forth. So it was kind of weird. I was
But
like,
you kind of got something on camera, so
yeah.
that's cool.
Yeah, I did get it on camera. I had to call my husband and I need a witness. Come check this out. So he was able to witness it with me. So that was kind of fun.
That's cool.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty cool. Yeah. So you had another one with a devil guy.
See, thank you for the prompts. Okay. I mean, because I have a million stories about so much stuff. Um,
Yeah.
okay. So I work with clients. I'm a medical intuitive counselor, and energy medicine practitioner. And for some reason, people started finding me that had what's called an entity attachment, which is a spirit that hasn't crossed over, and they get in your auric field and they try to manipulate you, or they talk really mean to you, but that's as a means of manipulation, which I tell a bunch of stories about that in that Dark Angels book. Um, and I had this one lady come, and so first off, when I met her the first time, she had like 11 spirits that were like glued to the outside of her auric field. But see, she projected a lot of light and she was very open. And so spirits would come to her to get her assistance, but she didn't really do anything about it, And so I'm like, either you need to stop opening the door to helping these people, or, you're just going to have to deal with it. So that was one thing we're working on. But she also had this, I called it an alien entity because it did not take on human corporeal form. It was humanoid. It had 2 arms and 2 legs, but instead of like skin or whatever, he just had flames, kind of like the Human Torch coming all off him. Thus,
Oh.
the devil guy. No horns, just these flames. And I have to give them all a name. So if they don't have a name, I just make up a name. It's like, oh, it's the devil guy. And And when the spirits do not present human, they often don't have the same kind of emotions or like life memories of humans. And so it's really hard to communicate with them, because it would be like trying to talk to a Klingon. It's
Mm,
like just the whole mindset is very different, and the values are their values that they're bringing to the table. They're not human values. So, yeah. Anyway,
huh.
so this was after a couple of sessions, and finally I just started asking him, it's like, what do you want? What do you want? Because communication was not really happening between us. And he kept showing me this image of her like walking through the wall and out the window,
Mm-hmm.
like where the window was. But I was on
Right.
the second floor, but it was out the window.
Okay.
And with the kind of message, I want her to come with me. And it took me a while to kind of sit with that. And I finally looked at her and I said, have you tried to commit suicide? And she was like, yeah, twice. And it was this entity trying to get her to go with him, but she couldn't
Oh.
go with him when
Oh.
she was in physical form. She needed to be in spirit to go with him.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a deep
Yeah.
one.
Yeah. Well, kind of weird. I mean, you know, when you do intuitive work, it's like you just get information, and then sometimes you have to kind of take the image or the commentary and go, what does that mean? What are you trying to say to me? um And, the whole suicide thing was like not front and foremost on my radar. But just the way that it was being communicated, you know, I want her to come with me, with this image of him going through the wall and the window over there, which obviously is not a physical body, and so it's like, huh, I wonder if this is
Interesting.
it. And
Yeah.
apparently it was.
Oh, wow. That's pretty crazy. I mean, man, I just love everyone's stories. You guys are just so awesome. All of you're all just I could listen to them forever, and it's just so awesome to have you guys visit with me and everything. And I really appreciate your time since our time is up. Um,
Hmm.
so I want to thank you so much for being with me today and telling your stories to everybody, so we can all know that it's out there,
Hmm.
opening up
And
this
I'm
door.
I'm hoping it's okay if I share my webpage with your peeps.
Yes, yes, by all
Okay.
means.
So if you want to find out more about me and my work or any of my books or anything, Dr. Rita, you can go to soulhealer.com. That's SOULHEALER.com. Soulhealer.com.
Awesome. Great. Yeah, check it out. Check her out. And I am definitely going to have to check out your books
Cool.
and get them going. I'm getting this huge list of books I need to read now, so it's like keep me busy.
Cool.
Well, thank you again for joining me, and it's been a blast having you on here.
Well, thanks for having me. I had a good time too.
Good, awesome. Well, if you have a story to tell, or you would like to be on the show to tell your story, go ahead and email lighttalk423 at gmail.com. And we hope to have you on the show. So we'll see ya. Have a good one. Bye.